For more on what this may all mean or not mean, let's bring in Bernstein senior analyst Stacy Rasgon. Stacy, kind of hit with an antitrust accusation, and the stock market snores.
Well, you got to remember, they're not selling anything in China right now.
Not yet.
So
they want to.
They want to. And actually, the reason they're not selling right now, it is because of the China side. The U.S. seems to be getting a little more flexible on that. It's sort of unfortunate because, supposedly the antitrust piece that they violated was that they weren't selling. They had promised post-Mellanox to make sure they kept selling into China, and they haven't been. Of course, it's not their choice. It was on the U.S. side in that case, was not allowing them to sell. So they're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place, I guess. But to be honest, I don't know how serious this really is. I mean, they're in trade talks right now, as you were talking about. This feels to me just like one more like chess piece on the chessboard being moved. I don't know how serious it actually is.
Okay, so let's use your analogy. Is it an analogy or metaphor? I can never remember. Let's use that example. How about that, Stacy? Me fail English. All right, here's the thing. In chess, there is a goal. That goal is checkmate, right? Is to beat the other. So if this is a chess piece, as you say, what is the goal?
Yeah, again, this is a whole other thing because I don't know how much our administration is playing chess or checkers or whatever. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean, look, Nvidia wants to sell into China. That's correct. And I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of demand in China for Nvidia's parts. So I actually think the Chinese customers would like Nvidia to be able to sell into China. China right now is flexing everything that they can to bring to bear around some of these trade talks. This is one lever that they may have. They did some other things today too. They launched an anti-dumping investigation into the analog space. So again, wherever they can at least in some sense try to influence some of the outcome and apply at least a little bit of pressure, they're doing everything they can. I think part of the issue, at least in semiconductors, is that there's not a lot that they can do. Like they don't really have, because of some of the things that have occurred, they don't really have a leadership position in most of these areas in semis. So wherever they can, I mean, they'll try to grab it, but there's not a ton that they can do at this point.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. I don't exactly know what the goals are on either side at this point.
We'll see. And I'm sure there's I tried the Simpson quote from Ralph Wiggum. Maybe there's something related to Nvidia in China. Who knows? But either way, Michelle, there is some goal here. And China wants the chips, but they probably also want to flex and show they're not just going to be pushed around. I feel like the TikTok, again, analogy, metaphor, I can't remember which is which. This is symbolic of something larger than just Nvidia and some company, Mellanox, that nobody's probably ever heard of.
It's definitely symbolic of something much larger. I think TikTok represents this issue, is emblematic of the relationship between China and the United States, because so many of the concerns expressed by members of Congress here are about national security. And that's been the overarching discussion that we've had. When it comes to TikTok, are they using TikTok implanted in people's phone to follow people around, to know where they are, to spy on them? They did that.
Well, answer your own question.
Well, but they did that when they were trying to figure out who was the mole in TikTok that was speaking to reporters. They started monitoring where reporters are doing. Chinese executives did that back on the Chinese mainland. So that was a concern. What about, are they using the algorithm to, have malign influence on Americans thinking about the United States and positive thinking about China? These are all things that we think about. We think about the national security relationship with China very deeply here in the United States.
Stacey, quickly, what is the next market-moving event for NVIDIA stock? What's the next major thing that you were following?
Yeah, I mean, so you've got earnings and everything else. I mean, they just reported earnings not that long ago. What we're really looking for, at least for this year, I guess is two things. One is the magnitude and trajectory of their rack shipments as they ramp their Blackwell Ultra, their GB300 parts into the end of the year next year. Look, we're also waiting to see if some of these licensing and other issues around their ability to do business in China do ease, because again, they have zeroed it out from their numbers. So anything they get from China in the near to medium term is upside. And I guess as you go forward, they've got their GTC event, which will be in March of next year. It's not that long, 6 months from now, where we'll probably get a lot more color on their next generation product, which is called Rubin, which is supposed to ramp in the second half of next year. So we'll probably learn a lot about that in the first half of 2026 when they have that event.